All right, I got a controversial topic I want to talk about today, and I've actually been doing a little bit of research on this through both some of my clients and also some people at the bar and some other friends and things like that. But let me ask you this question. In today's modern world, we always hear about the sugar baby and the sugar daddy relationship, or the sugar mama and the sugar baby relationship, but is it prostitution? Is this the new form of prostitution? Is this the 2026 version of prostitution? Is this what prostitution is going to look like moving forward? When you really think about the sugar baby and the sugar daddy relationship or the sugar mama relationship, I mean, by definition, it's a mutual benefit agreement where an older, wealthier person, sugar daddy, sugar mommy, provides financial support, gifts, and other mentorship for a younger person, sugar baby, in exchange for companionship, dating, and or intimacy. So when you really start reading that definition and you think about prostitution, is this just the new form of prostitution, or is this just a mutual beneficial relationship? One of my favorite people to listen to is a psychologist by the name of Orion Tarabon, and he talks about in his book and in his podcast about how relationships are transactional and they have to be mutual beneficial for everybody involved for the relationship or the transaction to work. So if an older guy really thinks that the younger woman is into him because of his looks, it may be, but the reality is what the reality is. And if you're showering her with gifts and you're taking her on trips and you're doing all these things because you want a beautiful woman on your arm and you want some eye candy, because we both know when you walk into a room with a beautiful woman on your arm, people stare, or excuse me, they turn and they look and they stare, and they're going to want to know who you are, and it creates a status symbol. And on the other side of it, she's getting something out of it, which is that trip or that dress or that purse or everything in between. So when you look at it, it is a relationship that is defined by that transaction. And as Orion says, is every transaction has a value, and we have to determine what that value is. And if the guy's ugly guy, maybe the value is a little bit more, and maybe it's a car to deal with the ugly dude. Or if she's a fat and nasty woman and you're a sugar baby and you have to do something to XYZ to get to it, then maybe that value adds something a little bit different. But maybe he's a good-looking 50 or 60-year-old guy and he just needs some companionship. Does that turn it into prostitution? Does that turn it into, by definition, a transaction that is leading to intimacy? And at the end of the day, I mean, when you look at it, somebody said in a conversation when I was having with them, is I asked them the difference between an escort and a prostitute, and or a hooker, and immediately when they think a hooker or a prostitute, they think of somebody that's standing on the street corner that says, "I'll give you a blowjob for $20," and the escort is somebody who is you're paying for their time and service, and if it leads to intimacy, it leads to intimacy, and by definition, which one of those does the sugar baby fall into? I don't know. Maybe it is $500 to go down a date and you get a blowjob. It all depends on what you define it as. But if you're strictly associating the money or the purse with sex, then yeah, it is truly a form of prostitution by definition. But if it's more than that, and it's, like I said, it's trips and it's a relationship that is building, then, it is something a little bit different. I don't know if you can really define it as prostitution. It really is a double-edged sword, an interesting topic when you really start breaking down to it. I spoke with 3 women this week, and they're all in their 20s and early 30s, and they all saw nothing wrong with the relationship or the status. One of them even had a sugar daddy that was paying rent and taking care of her car and everything else. And when I asked what she had to provide in return, she was a little squirmish at first, but it came back to is she had to be present at certain events and she had to do certain things and look a certain way. And if intimacy was involved during those trips or those certain events, then so be it. Is it something that she truly wanted? I don't know. Is it somebody she truly wanted to be with? I highly doubt it. I question it. But she looked at the value of the transaction and she saw that having her apartment paid for and her car and everything else was worth the other side of it. And again, she's the only one that can define it, and she's the only one that can label what that relationship truly is. And it's up to her, and it's not up to any of us to truly define it. But when I'm working with my high-end and high-achieving and high-value clients, the first thing I tell them with the sugar relationships, both male and female, because I work with high-end and high-achieving women that struggle to find relationships because they are high status, and a lot of men fear that or find that they are inferior and struggle with those relationships. So they do resort sometimes for companionship to the sugar relationship. And what we do talk about is defining truly what the goal is and defining what the relationship is. Because if we expect them to have feelings, or we expect them to be in love with us, or we expect them to, do certain things with or without the compensation, then we're probably going to let ourselves down. So when we have these conversations, they are hard conversations, but we need to outline what it looks like, what it is, why we even truly want this relationship. If it's something fun and we can afford it, then why not go have a little fun and, and allow and put a smile on somebody else's face and allow yourself to have a little bit of happiness. But if you're truly looking for a long-term relationship and you're expecting to get it out of a 20-something-year-old that's got her tits hanging out and a nice ass, and you're buying her things and flying her around the world, the likelihood that she's going to fall in love with you is zero. The likelihood she's going to fall in love with the lifestyle and your wallet, probably 100%. And if you were to propose to her, are you proposing because you love her or because you want companionship? Are you proposing and you expect her to say yes because she loves you, or because she loves your pocketbook and the lifestyle you're providing? So you really need to understand and define what those goals are. But at the end of the day, like I said, it was a funny conversation that I had. Is prostitution, or I should say, is the sugar baby and sugar daddy relationship prostitution? And it all depends on how you define it. Legally, could it be? Yeah, potentially. But, as a whole, most people don't look at it like that, even though they are selling their bodies for gifts, even though they are selling their bodies and their time for different things. But like I said, as it gets broken down by transaction, there's a value, and that transaction is I'm getting my nails done and he's paying for it. Okay, so what do I need to give in return? Is it a photo of your nails? Is it lunch? Is it something else? And we define what that value is, and we define what the relationship is. And as long as we don't set the expectations above and beyond what is truly happening, and we're just living it at face value and understanding what it is, then is there anything wrong with these relationships? I mean, some people say yes, some people say no. I mean, who are we? We're not the ones in the relationship to define what is right and what is wrong. I mean, I did a podcast the other day on open marriages and swingers, and who are we to define what works for their relationship and what doesn't? I mean, I can't stand therapists that bring in their bias and say, well, this is wrong. Well, why is it wrong? It's maybe wrong for you, but it's not wrong for them. And, having a sugar daddy and a sugar baby relationship, or having a sugar mama and a sugar baby relationship, if it works for them, fantastic. It's not ours to judge. It's not ours to do anything else. If we think that sugar baby's taking advantage of, the old man and she's just with him for his money, that's on him. That's not on you. And, and now if he thinks that she's in love and, and they're soulmates and everything else, then yeah, as a good friend, maybe you have the conversation and say, hey buddy, let's have a conversation about this and let's talk. And I do the same thing, like I said earlier in the session with my clients, and making sure that we're all on the same page and that we're not going to create heartache or pain or anything else for ourselves in between, but defining what the relationship is, whether it's a sugar baby, whether it's a sugar daddy, whether it's anything in between, whether it's a regular relationship or it is a sugar relationship, defining what our goals are, what our expectations are, and what we want out of the relationship. But at the end of the day, if you really look at it, I had one girl that I talked to, she said, well, every relationship is prostitution. When we're married, we have sex with our husbands because we expect X, Y, Z out of it, or, whatever. But that's a different day or a different topic of using sex for reward or what have you. But, she kind of has a valid point. And what determines the relationship, marriage is a certificate. It's a agreement. And if there's some agreements that you stay home and we have sex every night and I go to work, that technically could be a form of prostitution, but by law, it's not, for the pure fact that it is marriage. So if we're not married and we're in a, committed relationship and I pay for everything and you get to go do everything, and, there's mutual beneficial, from the transaction, then we define it. But, it's very interesting for that the topic came up in one of my sessions that, is prostitution truly a sugar baby and sugar daddy relationship in the modern world and modern age? And if it is, does that mean that prostitutes are walking around everywhere they are and escorts are walking around everywhere, and we see them, and probably 90% of the women out there could be or potentially be if they want to get into the relationship? Yeah, maybe. But who gives a shit? It's not your life. You worry about your life, you worry about your lane, you stay in it, and you worry about, yourself. So again, I'm Chris Kourtakis. I'm a licensed therapist and life coach, and I work with high-achieving individuals that are looking to accomplish their goals or trying to figure out what those goals are. Again, if you like this video, make sure you click the button below and hit that like button. It helps with these algorithms, or so I'm told. And if you like this content, make sure you subscribe so you can see more of it. And if there's somebody out there that you think can benefit from this information, please do not hesitate to share it. That's why there's a little button down there that says share and forward and all that fun stuff. Don't forget to check out our website at AskChrisK.com. You can leave us DMs on social media. I answer them personally. I answer all the comments below personally because I want to get the feedback and and understand what people want to see and so on and so forth. So again, how we define the relationship is completely up to us, and what we define as transactional is completely up to us. It's nobody else's business. So you know what? If we think the sugar baby and sugar daddy relationship is working for us, keep going at it, boo-boo. If you're a sugar mama and you can get a beautiful arm candy, then you're enjoying whatever the benefits are, and he's getting what he wants and the reward, and you're both 100% satisfied, then stay at it. But you know what? I wouldn't worry about what the law says or the defining of, and again, I'm not a lawyer, I don't want to get you in trouble, but you know what? At the end of the day, is prostitution, and is sugar baby a prostitution? I don't know. It depends on how you define it. And it was funny. I saw a meme actually this morning where it was a picture of a guy handing a girl money. The cops come in, and the cops say, "You guys are both under arrest for prostitution." And then it pans out, and the guy says, "Actually, it's not. I'm paying her for the video that we're about to make." And the cops go, "Well, that's legal because he's paying for the video and he's not paying for sex." So think about that, and how you define everything is truly the way things will lay themselves out and play themselves out.